welcome to the Conversations by Ordinary People podcast.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, this is kind of a very special episode. I think one thing that makes it special is you're a bit closer to home. You're related to many friends, your friend. Also, I think this is going to be the first episode of its kind where we do it with some sort of cause in mind. Yeah, so basically that's it. And as we start, I would like you to introduce yourself to the people that are watching live or to the people who listen after. And then I think we can get on from there.
Well, I am very grateful. Thank you so much. And the best thing that I'm very thankful. I'm starting by introducing I am Sharon Tino. Yeah, I'm a sweet girl. I stay here in Chaloja and Congo with my family, relatives, and
the purpose anyway, sort of why I thought this was an important conversation to have is to talk about mostly the heart condition, right now.
It's not the heart. You're very wasted.
Oh, it's not the heart.
It's the brain tumor.
Oh, wow. That means okay, so I don't know for some reason why I didn't pay attention to that detail. Yeah, wow, that's scary. So tell me more about that. Sort of how do you get to know that, say, you have a brain tumor? How long have you lived with this, and how have you managed to cope in this time?
Yes. Basically, I have managed to live with this for 17 good years. As a young girl, growing up very happy, very comfortable. I was able to sit for my P7. Then I joined high school. That was Toro Girls. So the misery of my life, the nightmare of my life, started in my senior year. That was 2005. It was like a joke, where somebody faints, and people are like, okay, she has fainted, take her to the sick bay. So the thing became continuous. You're fainting, you're biting your tongue, you wake up with wounds, you've lost your memory. And then it's a stage where they called my parents. They come and pick your daughter from what? From school. Because you're not understanding what is going on with her. So when my mom came and picked me from school, took me to the hospital, basically then we're staying in Komi, that is where I'm from, Komi district.
Yeah.
So went back home, they took me to, our health centers. And all of them concluded, no, this is epilepsy. So they started giving me those drugs for the epilepsy from our local hospitals. So I kept on taking them, but the condition was worsening. Every day you wake up, it was another nightmare. Be another nightmare. So mom was like, no, I think now you're going to shift and you study back at home. Just study some school called Wiggins. They just study from there because now, your situation.
Like in a day school?
Yeah, in a day school. So I studied for some time. But since I was raised by an aunt in Kampala, I told my mom I can't manage a local school. I need to go back to Kampala. Like I can't manage really dealing with these kids and so on. So I came back to Kampala, but still on that medication.
That's for epilepsy?
Yes, for epilepsy. I was taking the epilepsy, but I would faint like over 10 times in a day. 10 times you fainted, you've bitten your tongue, like you're really a mess. There's nothing you remember. Every time you come back to like gain your consciousnness, the best to do is ask somebody, what was the last thing I did? Like you have to ask people, what is going on, and who is so and so? You have to take time for somebody to call you, then you remember your name that, oh, I'm called Sharon. So it went on for some good time. And then they took me to St. Joseph in Deva. I sat for my senior 4 and I passed. I didn't study senior 2. I didn't study senior 3. Like, I just loved school.
Right.
Because in me, I wanted to be a change. I wanted to be somebody better. In fact, my dream was to be a lawyer. Because I was like, if I thought I would become a lawyer, I would help so many people. So I went, I passed then A-level. My mom,
A-level, where were you then?
I was taken to Nadia SS. But because of my health condition, they could not contain me there. They were like, no, we cannot. Because now, the person is fainting over 10 times a day. Always in the sick bay. This person is biting their tongue. This person is dirtying themselves. She doesn't remember anything. No. So they took me to the Nile College, where I sat for my senior 6, and I passed. So during my senior 6 vacation, I happened to really get the same seizures. You know, you're at home every now and then. You're in the hospital. That's when we got a chance to meet Dr. Kutesa. When we met Dr. Kutesa, he's the owner of Lord's Clinic here in Chalwadela. He's when he was like, oh, let her come. You bring her to my hospital. So when we went there, he was also going through with the same medical thing. It's epilepsy, because it had all the signs of epilepsy. All the signs and symptoms of epilepsy. Yeah. You're fainting, you're biting yourself, you're peeing on yourself, you can't remember anything. Like, you're basically a mess. So he kept, like, he gave me carbamazepine and Tino, like, he put me on medication. But still, I would never spend time at school. My family always had to be on tension. I said, okay, what next? So after that, you know, we want to join campus. I applied and Nechambogo gave me. 2 weeks after, that was now 2010, 2 weeks when I just joined Chambogo, I was nothing of coming home in Chalwadela. So, you know, you slope down from campus. I don't know, the next minute I woke up, a taxi had knocked me. And it was a gentleman who saved me. He had to sit in the clinic where he had placed me to wait for me to gain my consciousness, and asked me, what's wrong with you? So he asked me, do you remember anything? I told him there's nothing I remember. Then he was like, okay, calm down and try to remember any number that we can use. So I remembered my mama's number. Is my aunt. The lady who has raised me, the lady who has really been through all the 95% of my health condition. So he called her. She had to mobilize my brothers to come and pick me. She had to come, you know, from work now again. Came and picked me, brought me back to the hospital. So the situation went on for that time. But I want to be very grateful to Dr. Kutesa. He kept encouraging me. He kept telling me, you can come out of this situation. You need to be strong. You need to focus. You need to, you know, you can be yourself. You know, try to do things that you love to do. For my 3 years in Chambogo University, I was the university MC. But I did all this to try to make myself, like, I did all this to be happy. You get the point? Because now I was scared of being around people, since the shisha would get me anywhere. I would faint anywhere, I would really get ashamed. It was really so ashaming where you faint, you don't remember anything, you peed on yourself, you bit in your tongue. It was really a very hectic situation. And due to the fact that I loved school and I loved to be somebody better, I lived that life, went for fashion, because I've always wanted to be into fashion. So I finished Chambogo University, but with that inferior complex, where you're really so scared of everyone. You're scared of telling even your best friend what you're going through. Because one thing people fear anyone with epilepsy down here. Like in Uganda, you know, when you tell somebody that I have epilepsy, they think this one, I will also contact it. So
okay, so that's one thing. The other thing also, the stigma around that is,
yes,
witchcraft and all that.
Yes, it's witchcraft and all that. So I never really had that time to open up to people on what I was going through. So I would go through my own case, keep quiet, and leave it at that point. The only thing I would do, maybe like roll up, go in the shisha. When I get back to my son, I would call mom. I'm like, you know what, something? This and this is going on with my life. So 2014, I graduated. Jambogo. But the health condition kept on.
Yeah, so at the time you're at university, how frequent are these seizures?
The seizures were frequent. I would get them on a daily basis. Like there was no day that would pass by and I would not get it. Despite the fact that I was on medication, you get the point. I would have to get it. Whether I would get it over like 3 times or 5 times a day. At least I reduced from 10 from the medication that I was given by Dr. Kutesa to, and the encouragement, he kept on pushing me, like, and I think he now gave me the guidelines. You get the point. Stop stressing yourself. Avoid this. Be happy. Don't be around noise. Now you get to realize that from senior 2, my youth was denied. Like this health condition denied me my youth. I had to begin to get to realize, okay, I'm not supposed to do that. I'm not supposed to do the other. I'm not supposed to be near fire. I'm not supposed to cook for myself. I'm not supposed to be overwhelmed. Because I had to be stopped from doing so many things. I had to stop looking at my friends living their youth life at campus. You know what campus is? And all the best you can do is just like, no, you guys can enjoy yourselves. Because you're afraid that, okay, once I risk this is going to happen to me. So basically, I would get it 3 or 5 times a day.
At this time, the assumption is still
yes.
epilepsy.
Assumption is still epilepsy. Assumption is still epilepsy. So, you come out of campus, you're trying to empower yourself. Despite the fact that it's epilepsy, despite the fact that I'm going through all of this, you get the point, I need to be strong for myself. But so I kept on interacting with Dr. Kutesa. I kept on talking to him. Then he was like, okay, now how are those drugs treating you? I told him, there's a way these drugs make me oversleep. You get the point. So I was like, okay, I'm going to change it to a certain drug. You get the point. And we see. So he changed me to Tegretol. So I began taking it. It reduced on the seizures, but was still on treatment of epilepsy. There was nothing like the current situation. It was epilepsy. So I got into that treatment. And yes, the drugs helped me. The seizures reduced. Maybe you'd get it like once or twice a day. The most hurting thing is one time I was crossing from a Tuskys, that is in Tinder. Crossing that road, I was just from the supermarket because I used to love going to pick those cookies. So I crossed the road and found myself, the lady with mobile money was done where I was just lying next to her mobile money thing. So when I came back, I asked her what's wrong. She's like, you fainted in the middle of the road. And I had to save you. Because you know how busy that in Tinder road, She's like, you fell in the middle of the road and I had to pick you. She told me, I have your phone here. Do you remember anybody? I told her, call number called Mama. Look for number called Mama on my phone. So she did it. She called home and they had to come and pick me from the hospital. But within that time, no jobs available. 5 years now, you get the point, out of campus. You're still gambling this, gambling that. I happened to ask my dad, you get the point. I'm like, I want to go back to school. I kept pestering him, I want to go back to school. I was like, yeah, you'll go back. Now one day, he just told me, I want you, since you're not finding a job, You've applied, you've finished campus, you're not finding a job. Look for school and go back to school and study something. I was the happiest person. I remember I even told it to me at Uganda House. I was the happiest individual on planet Earth. So I got an admission at UMI to do project planning and postgraduate in project planning and management. That was now 2019. Now 2019 is when I began complaining. I began telling my family, there's something wrong with my eyes. I don't see clearly. I feel a lot of pain. You get the point? That's when my brother was like, you know something? Maybe you go and, they check your eyes. And we see what could be the cause. So I'm like, okay. So I go to Mengo. They do their tests, they do their checkups. And they're like, we are not seeing anything, but I think the problem is light. Maybe the problem with your eyes, you cannot.
They can't tolerate.
Yes, they cannot tolerate too much light. Now they recommended me specs. That is one, like I've been using them. They're like, it's just to help you, Yeah. So I waited, but I kept on complaining. I'm like, you people, the headache is too much. The eyes, but remember, I was still on the other medication of epilepsy. as soon as that was it. It was epilepsy. So I'm like, you people, this headache is too much. This headache is too much. At one point, I even went to learn how to tailor, because yes, I can make up a cloth. But the teachers kept on. Then Dr. Klesa told me, no. Now you see, the problem is you're overworking your brain, so stop it. So I had to put it aside. Now here I am at UMI doing my evening course, but it was too much. Now I got those specs, and yes, for a short time, they were helping. 2020, my left eye began closing, like, halfway. So I told my brother, I'm like, something so funny. I took it like it was a funny thing. I'm like, something so funny. He was like, what is it? I'm like, my left eye halfway doesn't see. I was like,
So you have like a blind spot?
Yes, you just have a blind spot of the. You get the point? I'm like, the left eye halfway of it doesn't see, but halfway does see. Then the right eye, I really see, but I feel a lot of pain. He was like, maybe you need to go back and those guys do what? Check up on you. I go back. I'm like, no, maybe you're just adjusting. Maybe you get the point. They didn't also take. Yes, they didn't really like. I think science is science. I cannot explain what really happened there. So in around 2001, now you've finished school, you finished your postgraduate, you're living your life. That is now when my left eye totally, for it just went off. Like I could no longer see with my left eye. I was now using one eye, the right one. But I would experience a lot of pain, like a lot of pain.
That's headache.
Yes. Like the whole side, like a lot of headache, then the whole eye is paining. It's even pouring tears on its own. And so the whole thing kept on for a long time. You get the point. But you take painkillers, you have eye drops, life goes on. So I'm like, maybe something will stabilize. So it so happens that in October 2001.
2001.
Yes. In October 2001.
2001, 2021.
Oh, sorry. 2021. Forgive my memory. 2021. In October 2021, that is when I had the worst nightmare. All my eyes blacked out. Like you wake up in the morning and there's nothing you can see. Like I could not see anything. I just sat on my bed, kept quiet for some time. I'm like, maybe it's just a reaction. And indeed it seemed like a reaction. Because after some time I've been on my bed, like after around midday, then at around 2, I could partially see, like, how you partially see with your right eye, but it's not clear. You get the point. Things are dim, but you're able to say, okay, I can pass there, I can. Yeah. That's when I called my brother. I'm like, man, things are going worse. I cannot see totally. Like, I totally cannot see. He's like, you know what? You better go for what? For check-up. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go. So I go back to Momo. I'm like, you people, my left eye has blackout. My right eye, basically, I am just seeing dim people. Like, I'm not seeing you clearly because I can't see your face. Even right now I'm talking to you, but I can't see your face. But I can be know that, okay, that is the structure of a human being. You get the point? So the doctor said, okay, let's check around. They did that test. They told me go for VR, go for what. Then they told me no. But you first go to Tororo. I think it is Father John's, specialized in eyesight in Uganda here. They referred me to Tororo. So I go to Tororo.
So yeah, okay. Let me just interrupt a little bit. In this time, how are you commuting? Like, if, for example, first of all, you're worried that you could get a seizure anytime, your eyesight isn't working fine, how are you able to commute, to go away from home, to go to Mango Hospital, or to go to town, things like that? How are you able to do that?
Now, how was I able to do that? The best thing I had was, you know where you get one border?
I see.
You have that border guy you know is your friend. He has really been running things for you. He has really been, that is how I was now managing my life. I just had to be like, hello. And I had to pick my phone, take it to a neighbor, and I'm like, please look for me such and such a person. Look for me Mochiga's number. Then like, she looks for me, I call for me on my MTN or my Airtel. Then she calls that person. Then you're like, okay, come and pick me. Make sure you keep telling them, make sure I keep calling so that I can direct you where I am standing. You get the point? So I had to avoid, like I would just avoid me. Basically now my life was, you just stayed at home. There's nothing you're doing, you can't do anything, like that is now how my life turned out to be. Like you just sit, you has really been there. Before even this whole thing, there's a moment when I tried to cook at one point, and the best I got is to wake up my whole face was burnt. My whole face was burnt because I put rice and the next thing I fell and it poured on me. And the whole water burnt my whole face. Yeah. So with the movement, that is how I managed. I had that specialized border.
You refer to Tororo.
Yes, I'm referred to Tororo. I arrived in Tororo, that day it was even late. But I went and, they welcomed me. So they take me through the checkup. The first stage is, can you read these letters, blah, blah, all those stages, medical. They make me go through all those stages. Until when they went to the last one, it was the visual, that VR. They reached on it, then they took me, now to the final doctor to explain. They're like, no. Reality is, there is nothing you're seeing. Your eyes seem to be okay. But we are wondering, why are you blind? I'm like, I don't know. I need answers from you. So the nurse said, no. You know what you're going to do? I'm going to give you a referral. I want you to go to Bali. Bali. They may do for you a brain CT scan. Maybe we shall get an answer to what you're going, because for us we are not seeing anything.
Okay, let me also interrupt you here. So at this moment, what is going on through your mind? What do you think this is, right? Because at first there is an explanation, right? Epilepsy. So the seizures are coming because of epilepsy, right? But now you're losing eyesight. You've gone hard checkup. And the doctors are saying, you know what, when you look at the mechanics of your eyes, everything looks fine. What assumptions are you making at this time is the cause of this for now?
In fact, the fact is that I did not even, what I was now thinking is not even what would be the cause. Because now, I had accident in my life, I have epilepsy, you get the point? But now the eyesight thing, going blind, is not something that what I was only asking myself is, God, why me? Like, it's been long, I'm on medication, I am the same person, now again. You get the point? And I have, I don't even understand, I'm supposed to be living a normal life like any other youth out there, but look at me, I have been patient for the past years, and yes, the seizures have somehow reduced, and I can also sit for around, and but why me? I was not even thinking about the cause. Nothing. It was just me asking God, why me? That pain whereby you're just moving, and the only thing you're like, God, why me? Whereby you have to tell somebody, please check through my phone and look for my mother, look for mama, look for my brother, this is the name, look for my dad. Like, somebody has to do those things for you. Yes. So basically, I didn't think about what would be the cause. I was just like, God, why me? I was having that pain. And the only thing I did all the time was cry. Yeah.
Okay, so now, you're referred to Mbalo to the CT scan.
Yes. So I go back home and call me. Because now, it was late. So I go back home and call me. So I tell my father that, you know something, this is it. This is the referral. These are the results from tomorrow, but this is the referral. And the referral is saying I need to do a brain CT scan from Cure. So my dad was like, okay. We shall do it. You know where people are used to that. Okay, you have a condition, and now something else is coming up. You get the point? So I was like, yeah, we shall do it. There's no problem. We shall go for it. Let me first look around for money. Let me first try to look for money so that you can be able, because so I'm like, okay. So I go back, I go home, I go to mom, I stay with mommy, but she literally had to do everything for me. You get the point? What you're supposed to be doing for your mother, it was now my mom doing it. Take for water in the bathroom. She has to to ensure that, okay, basically, you've showered well. She has to, tell you, okay, the Benson is here. Then she has to let her first come and check whether, you no longer have soap on your body. Mm-hmm. She had to cook for me. She had to put a plate in front of me. And sometimes she had to feed me, because basically this is now a blind person. She doesn't. She doesn't know even, like me, basically, at this moment, I do not know even how I look. I don't know how I look. Because even the mirror cannot tell me how I look. So basically, my family always has to help me. Okay, this is the blouse, this is the skirt. Okay, dress up with that. Your food, they have to serve you food. They have to do everything for you. So my mom had to go through all that.
For how long is this until you do the scan?
This goes on until January.
That's from when?
That is now from October 2021. It goes until January 2022. That is when we go for the CT scan. So before I even went for the CT scan, I got a seizure on 24th of December, which left me on bed for 5 days. Like 5 days when basically I'm not reacting to anything. I'm just there.
Were you like paralyzed? Were you able to feel sensations?
I was just looking. I was just like, whereby you're just there. Mm-hmm. You can hear, like the only thing I would get to know that, okay, this is Benja talking, is when he speaks.
I see.
You get the point? Yeah. So I would be, but I was just lying on the bed, and my mom had to change, the sanitary towel, what, she had to do everything for me, and basically I was just literally down for the 5 days. So January we go for the CT scan, brain CT scan in Cure. So when we arrive at Cure, they take me in for the scan. And the doctor called my mom. We went there with some friend of mine called Tino. The doctor called my mom and said, "Madam, first come and see." So she goes behind now me, I was on that bed. She goes behind. I think that's where the computers be. Mm-hmm. So now, are you seeing what is your daughter's brain? My mom kept quiet. When I came down, the doctor said, reality is you have a brain tumor. That is what you have. The best I did was to laugh. And somebody else would think I laughed out of joy. No. But that laughter that you do out of pain. And the only thing you're like, okay, from epilepsy to a brain tumor to blindness. Like I was like, I laughed. My mom was really totally paralyzed. My friend was just seated. And the next thing I did was like, you know what? Let's go back home. But we had to see a specialist, which also needed money, and we didn't have that money. So we had to first go back home. I explained to my dad, I'm like, something? It is so hurting. But the reality is, I am having a brain tumor. I don't know, I didn't even know what to do. Then he was like, no, we are going to take to one of the doctors there in Kumi so that he analyzes the things. You get the point? Because I think deep inside him, he was also like wondering, is this reality? Like this guy will explain and guide us better. So we went and we visited. That was Dr. Pio. Dr. Pio said, with the analysis of this, she has a brain tumor. But the truth is, I'm not a specialist in brain tumor. You need to go back to cure. You need to go back to cure and meet a specialist. So we made another turn to get back to cure. So we had to wait for the specialist. I think it was around 5 hours. We are seated. That is when he arrived. When he arrived, he asked me to narrate the whole story, what it has been. He said, no, truth be, you have a brain tumor and it is seated on a very delicate part. That is why you are blind. That is why you are blind. It is because the brain tumor is invested on the nerves that bring sight to you. And I was like, now let me tell you the truth. You have been having this thing for the past 17 years. But it must have been growing slowly. That's why nobody could what? See it. But now it has matured and it is big. And you need a very severe, like an emergency operation. Cure can do operations, but he said, we cannot do it here because it is very delicate. And even the line here is around 2 more years and you cannot wait until then. So the best I'm going to do for you is to refer you to Mulago. He referred us to Mulago. We traveled near Nami. Came. I was there with my brother who was up and down, trying to see how does he get to the neurosurgeon, the best neurosurgeon in the country, to be able to, analyze the whole story, because we came with all the documents and so on. So he gave us an appointment. We went to Mulago very early in the morning. You know the line in Mulago. And we went there very early in the morning. Waited for him. He arrived. He talked to us. But I think he also, kept asking, the background. And he happened to tell me also the same thing. It's like, this thing has been going for the past 17 years. But the thing is, you did not know, like you had no clue of what it is.
This was the first time you're doing the scan. The scan you did in Bali is the first CT scan.
No. It is not. It is not. Because when I asked, have you done several? I'm like, yes, I've done them before this one. Because we did one when I just felt sick. It was still at cure, but nothing. The brain was positive. There was nothing wrong. Then when I got that accident, we had to do another one. But
which one? The one in Kinda or which accident?
The one of Chambogo.
Of Chambogo.
Yes. Okay. And basically there was nothing wrong with me. The brain was okay. You get the point.
Oh, and that is around still 2014, right?
When we did
the one in Chambogo.
2010.
2010.
Yes.
Okay. So the brain is still clear.
Very clear. Very okay. I'm still on the epilepsy treatment. That is when you also mentioned the same statement. Now in Mulago, I said, the thing must have been growing for the past 17 years. But it was not what? It was not reflective. No science languages. It was not showing. But now, the truth is, it is very big. And it's seated on a very delicate part. That is when he tells me, you go and they register you, and tells my brother, stay behind. He tells my brother, you first come and talk. So basically, my brother sat with him. They talked. Me, I was busy the other side, trying to register yourself on the book of Mulago. So I finished the registration. My brother came. But my brother came like, he's, somebody who is broken, somebody who is, but trying to cover up. So we got back into the class. And I asked him, what did the doctor say? He said, Sharon, my sister, I want you to be strong, because reality is the brain tumor is there. And according to the doctor, it's seated on a very delicate part, and we cannot do it here in Uganda. We have to do it in India. We cannot do it here. They cannot. Because it is just risking your life if we don't do it from here. That is when now I got back to my senses that, oh, you mean the situation I'm going through is worse than even what I thought. So, we kept on going to Mulago. He gave us to go for hormonal tests. I had to go back again to Mengo for another side test. I had to really go through different tests and meet in different departments in Mulago. So that is now when, he keeps in touch with us, and he's like, the only thing that can save this girl is India. He's going to India for that surgery. And it should be as fast as possible. Yeah, as soon as possible. Like, the girl, it should be as soon as possible, because the more we are going to delay, the more it grows, and the more it is worsening.
It's also harder to
Yes. And in fact, every day that you wake up, me now, painkillers don't even work for me. I don't even know how my own phone looks. I don't know how people look. Like, I'm talking to you, but I don't see you. I'm not seeing. You get the point? So that is when it's like, something we need around 30,000 USA dollars. That is for a kickoff. So that you people at least have a starting point. It is that. But it is most likely to go beyond that, because you are going to go through posting month over medical work, something like that. You have to go through that process too. You have to, but an estimate for a kickoff, and it should be done as soon as possible. That is the end of this month. Now she can go, if at all we have to save her life, if at all we have to save her sight, if at all we have to save her.
No, I hope some of the people who get to watch this, maybe people who can contribute. Many people who are fans of this podcast obviously have the means. So yeah, I'm hoping some of them can contribute. This is perhaps, I would say, the heaviest conversation we've ever had on this podcast. We've not had a conversation that's this serious, where the stakes are also this high, and I'm hoping people can step up to help. I really hope. I really feel like I can't start to imagine what you're going through. I cannot start to imagine. I'm listening to your story, and please, I'm out of words. I can just say, really sorry that you have to go through that, but there is not much in even my imagination where I can start from to genuinely try to understand the issues, because that has been quite a tough life. I hope that I hope that at least at the end of the path there is light. I hope this sort of becomes a story that sets up a good ending. That is what I hope. We will, me and the guys who run this podcast, we will pledge 1 million as the contribution, and we will also encourage everyone. Basically, if you're out there and you have the means, it doesn't have to be much. It could be as much as 10,000,
Yes.
could be 100,000. It just, all you have to know is if there are only 100 more people like me, that is the 30,000. I think it's around 100 million. So if there are like 100 more people who are willing to contribute 1 million each, that would be 100,000, and that can save your life, and that can bring, this is like, for me, this is slightly beyond just saving your life. This is bringing that glimmer of hope. If you've lived your life, and every kind of news, every time you're getting news about your health, you expect that's going to be worse, because that is what you know. Every time you've had news, it has literally been worse news than it was before. Even when you thought, I have epilepsy, it can't get worse than this. You get hit by worse news, or you're now getting blind. You say, okay, I have epilepsy and I'm blind, it can't get worse than this. The doctor tells you have a brain tumor. Tell you the brain tumor, you can't get medical attention here, for example. You need to go somewhere else to get medical attention. You need certain kind of means to get medical attention. I feel like, I'll say, perhaps my whole life, this is the heaviest conversation I've had. I have to be honest with you, Sharon. And I'm glad in a way that you've shared the conversation here on the podcast. And as I mentioned, this is the first kind of its own podcast where we are trying to do the podcast for a cause. And I hope that people in the end contribute, and they listen to your story, and they sympathize and empathize and contribute. And again, all I can do for now, besides the small contribution, is prayer. I just pray for you and that
Thank you.
the story ends in a way that there's a happy ending. In a way you can look back and say, oh wow, this was just God setting you up. That Job story in the Bible, where God does one bad thing after another just to set him up for a better life now. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm more grateful to you. Thank you.